Andrew, you stepped on stage 3 times this year. Well, competed 3 times this
Three
year.
times, yeah.
Which one stands out to you as your kind of proudest achievement out of the 3 or best experience?
Oh my God. That is an excellent question. You said competed 3 times. So we'll caveat, I also did 2 guest spots as well. In terms of the best experience, it wasn't the contest which I was an official competitor in. It was the guest spot I did at WMBF Ireland. And the reason that that was such a special experience for me was because it was a bit of a homecoming. I hadn't been on stage for 3 years almost at that point, probably was about 3 years. Last time I did it was 2022, WMBF World Championships in LA. And as we were discussing off air, I was ready for throwing in the towel and all that sort of stuff. And listeners can go back and listen to that episode. And then I did the WMBF Ireland Natural Bodybuilding show. And the whole experience was great because it was just so good to be back amongst what I'd call your people that share your values. They really appreciated me being there. I could tell they just like valued me having someone like me in terms of an athlete on stage, but just as a person as well, and what I bring to the sport and the energy that I bring. So that was great. But also it was the guest spot that I did as well. And guys, you can go on my Instagram, you can check this out, Fueled by Scott Soates, and Steve will probably share links and stuff like that. And I did a guest spot that had been on a back burner for a long time now, and it was Patrick Swayze. She's like the wind, right? She's like the wind. And I absolutely loved it. I spent months practicing for it. I did the full song, so it's like a 3.5, almost 4 minute routine, and it was mega. The guys caught it on the cinematography brilliantly, captured the moment, and I feel I was just really channeling that inner soul when I was doing it, right? So that was an amazing experience. I loved it. And it's one of those ones when you're doing a guest spot, right? And people who know the song, if you don't know the song, go and watch the movie. It's a great movie. That you could hear a pin drop, right? In the room, and you're trying to gauge, like, are they into this, are they not? But like it's like a standing ovation. People loved it. So that was the absolute best experience on stage. It was awesome. I absolutely loved it. If you want me to talk about the best competition now, I can talk about that.
Yeah, let's do the best competition. But great, but Andrew, I totally understand how that must have felt. Like you said, as we chatted last time, we chatted off air, I was like, hey, I thought you were kind of done with bodybuilding, but you came back in, and to kind of feel that warmth and that love and feel connected to the sport again in such a way. I understand completely why that stands out for you this season. But competition wise, you also did really well there too. So I'd love to hear which of the shows, I mean, obviously we can touch on each one, but which one of the shows stood out to you?
Oh, which one of the shows? Again, for different reasons. I mean, the first one that I did in the season was the SMBF Swiss International. That was a great experience. The German show, again, that was a great experience for a different reason. And then the World Championships. I'm going to say the SMBF Swiss International was probably my most special of the 3 for a few reasons. So back when I started bodybuilding, 2006, on the natural circuit in Europe, there was only one show that was a pro show, and that was the Swiss show, right? And that by rights ended up being almost like the de facto European Championships. And I remember for years, like seeing guys go away and do this show. So for me, for a long time, it was in my on the bucket list of shows that I should do, is to go away and actually do this show. So it was special in that respect. The other reason it was special as well was because I did the whole thing myself. Usually when I've gone away and done shows in the past, I've been with like a partner or training partner, or I've gone with friends or whatever. But I did the whole thing myself, from the, going to the airport, getting the flights, doing the transfer, staying in the hotel, and then going to the show. The whole thing was by myself. So the way I sort of looked up on the whole situation was, it was like an adventure, right? You're going off, seizing that call to adventure, taking up that opportunity, and you go out into the wilderness by yourself, and you learn the lessons along the way. You have your trials, your tribulations, and those trials and tribulations can be like the flight getting delayed by half an hour and all that sort of stuff, and keeping your cool. And just having to rely on your own wits and stuff like that. And you know what? Like, it's minor things, but it is a little bit more stressful doing it all yourself. And then anyway, going on to the stage, and then the athletes I was competing against as well, that was special too, because Babakar, Nang Babakar, he's one of the best natural bodybuilders we've ever had. He's certainly, in terms of this generation, he'll be up there, because he's the 3-time WNBF world champion. So for me to get to stand next to him and the opportunity to do that was great. And I've stood next to probably 3 or 4 of the best guys of their generation. So Babakar, Dave Kay, Nate Williams, and Siobhan Cunningham, I think, are 4 of the best in the last 10 or 15 years. The only other guy that I would include in the list to be the 5th is Kendall. Richmond, I think Kendall's saying. So I would say they're the best guys. So I've stood against 4 of them. So that's a great experience to stand next to that guy and do that. And then I had Max Melchard, who's been having a great season as well. And he's such a lovely man. And he said to us, Andy, me and you're like the most eccentric guys in natural body. And I was like, I'm more eccentric than you, Max. Shut up. Anyway, so he's such a lovely guy to compete against him, and I competed against him before. So you go and do that show, go on that adventure, first time back on stage in a long time. And you know what? I just brought a killer look. It was an awesome package that I brought to the stage. I was big, I was full, I was ripped. And do you know what? There was one point between that second place and that 3rd place spot. I thought my tan let me down a little bit. But I looked so good next to the boy Babakar. And when you're standing there against the best guys, and you're thinking, do you know what? Before I went into this show, thinking, can I beat him in that pose? Can I beat him in that pose? And you're thinking, nah, what do you do? But then when you actually get up next, you think, do you know what? Actually, this is closer than you think. So that was really nice and special, doing all those things. So yeah, it was just a great experience. And it's like that. You've made your comeback, and you found out, actually, do you know what? I've still got this. And I should be seriously thinking, right, it's not just going to be a case of making up numbers, because the Europeans have got such great bodybuilders, some of the best in the world, as has been proven over the years, that you're thinking, no, actually, I should be going into the next show and the show after that, like the World Championships, and thinking, right, it's top 5 or it's top 2, it's top 3 for Everest. So just all those things together made it a great time. And so I always try to get the most out of each situation, seeing all the people that I've seen in the past, like all the promoters, guys like Julian and Chris that I've not seen for a while, all the guys who are the helpers backstage that I've known from other shows, and then meeting up with athletes I've not seen for a while. So all those things just really bring it together, and being amongst your own people. So it's just really great experience and good show all round. That'll answer your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for the listeners, if you haven't heard Andrew, you're not following Andrew, you should be not. Well, you said you've been competing since 2006, and you've been a pro for a long time. You've done of UK pro bodybuilders, you might be the bodybuilder that's done the most pro shows in the UK.
I'll be up there, yeah. Do you know what? Again, an aside, a lot of guys chase that pro card through their career, and I chased it, but I also wanted to be one of the guys that when I got the pro card, that I actually did something with it, because some guys, they get to that level and that's it, or they do one show and they're like, I've just not got the chops for this. And then they retire. But I thought, you know what? I would like to actually have a little bit of a career doing this. So this year, I think I'm up to 11 pro shows since 2014 in terms of active. And I was thinking the other day, I was like, could I get to 15 to 20? And that would be pretty good going in terms of a pro career. Because when I used to read magazines when I was younger, magazines were a thing, guys. You used to see the pictures of guys doing things like they'd be at the Toronto Pro one week, and then like the Keystone Classic down in Florida, and then they'd be at like the Prague or the I don't know, the Romanian, and then they do the Olympian. I was like, I want a piece of that for myself. So living the dream, I guess, doing all these things, having a career doing it.
Yeah, so obviously, like I said, so you've done a lot of shows, you've been doing this a long time, but also been part of promotion of shows and things like this. You know the people behind there too. So yeah, I mean, it's great that you can take the opportunity to not just compete, but reconnect with people and actually involve yourself in that, because anyone who competes, you know, it's like a very selfish endeavor. So sometimes you just close in and you don't take those opportunities when you could have. But I know when I competed I did the Swiss show just the year before.
Yeah. Well, I
was
asked
also
you.
there.
I was like, Steve, you did the Swiss show the year before. I was like, where should I stay? Where should I go? And all that sort of stuff. And by the way, Zug, where you were saying, and you said to me, you wish you could have spent more time. Beautiful.
Yeah, so nice.
Absolutely a beautiful place. And that's part of it, the traveling as well. Getting to meet new people, go to different places, try new cuisines. Like, you have to do all those things. It's not just seeing it inside of hotel rooms and then you go to a venue and stuff like that. You've got to get all that stuff as well.
And at least from my experience, that was the most intensive drug testing that I'd had. Like the urine testing, like I talked to Mike Chalice about it because he's done some work with the Olympics, and he said like that's Olympic level standard of drug testing. Was that your experience too? It sounds like it was.
Right. I, again, as a promoter, and being involved in bodybuilding for a little bit, I've done every job, like from the guy that sells the t-shirts to the glazing the people backstage, to the guy on stage talking, to the guy that's doing the drug testing. And people that follow me will know that, like, I went away and did Matt Does Fitness drug testing and everything like that. This was the most intense drug testing I've ever done. I mean, usually when you do a drug test with someone, you're like, right, guys, touch the cup, pick the cup up, put it over here, stick it on the urinal and everything like that. And Mike Tyson talks about this, right? Mike Tyson talked about beating a drug test, and he said, like, he used something called a droiter. Do you know what a droiter is?
I remember he talked about like a fake penis.
It's a fake dick, right?
Yeah. So I didn't know that was the correct term for it.
Maybe it is. Maybe it's a slang term. So the drug control officer's like, and you're just going to do a test, and the guy's like, just making sure that you're not using anything. And he's like, no, you don't touch yourself when you do this. I'm like, all right, man. Very intense, very thorough, and you know what? Very professional. And I appreciate the lengths that they went to do it, because they were using the top end testing equipment as well, so they didn't skimp in that respect either. And those testing vials and all that sort of stuff, that would have probably run them into the best part of 250 to 350, 400 pounds per drug test. So they invested a lot of money in that sort of stuff, and fair play as well. And you know what, actually, I think I've got just purely by chance, I've got 3 different pink slips here from different drug tests.
Nice.
Just on the desk there. Yeah, just happened to have them. I wasn't prepared. My desk is a little messy. You can't just see it on the side here. But yeah, very thorough. And do you know what it has to be? It's a thankless job doing the drug testing in the background, because you're normally in like the bowels of a building somewhere, and you're in the background, you're not seeing the show and everything like that, and you've got to stay late while all the drug testing is going on and everything like that once the show is finishing and all that. But yeah, it has to be done to maintain the integrity of natural bodybuilding. It's a very important part of it.
So I'm glad the testing was just as intense for you guys.
Yeah, so you got the same experience.
Yes, the thing I vividly remember was stripping down, bending over, that sort of thing. So it's like, yeah, any crevice to hide anything.
Like, is the guy necessary? Like,
yeah, I felt bad for the guy, to be honest.
It was very efficient and Swiss.
Yes. Oh, yeah, very Swiss. The only person I was thinking who maybe has done more pro shows than you, I wonder, is Stuart McCulloch.
Yeah, do you know what?
Because he's been competing such a long time.
Like, I was speaking to Stuart, and he was telling me, he's like, Andy, next year, or was it this year, he said that this is my 30th year bodybuilding. I was like, Jesus, because between the two of us, we're approaching 50 years. I was like, we're too old to be doing, like, we've done this for far too long. We need to get another hobby out of this. Props to Stuart McCulloch, by the way. That's, I think, one of the best packages I'd ever seen of him, and he took third at the WNBF Worlds in the Masters category. I think he got a bit of a raw deal in Germany. I think he should have been moved around more, but yeah, that might have been his best ever look, genuinely, in all the times that I've seen him. And like that gives younger guys like us hope that actually we can get better, but as we get older, but it also holds up that mirror to us to be like, stop slacking, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like,
for sure.
What's your excuse?
Yeah, it was great to see Stuart competing up there again. I think he's done, like, I think he said every other year, basically, since he started competing, which is wild to me. So to improve just by having, like, year off seasons is incredible. I'll have to bring him on to chat through that.
Oh, for sure. He told me, right, and I don't want to steal all his glory, but his skin was the best I'd ever seen it, right? And sometimes that's the tan and stuff like that. But he told me like he just installed this new steam shower in his house, and that has really made a massive difference to his
Oh, wow.
skin tone, right? And when we're looking for that perfect body, because that's what bodybuilding is. I was always a fan of the WNBF Ukraine competition because they called it the Mr. Perfect competition. I was like, that's so Eastern European, right? But at the same time, it's like, yeah, that is what you're looking for, and that skin tone really does make a difference because it was just so tight and fresh looking for a man who's approaching 50-year-old. Yeah, what a difference it made to his physique. So yeah, definitely get him on. He'll have a good chat with you for sure.
But yeah, for you to have competed against those names is incredible, and to hold your own against them. I kind of went in the deep end, that Swiss show. I didn't even realize. I knew it was a good show, but I had no idea because that season I turned pro and I wasn't expecting it. I had no expectations, and I just dove in, and then Babacar turned up. I was like, wow, like now standing against like one of the best.
Oscar as well, didn't you? Is that right? Was he at your? Was he
Oscar?
The professor?
No,
that was different show. I'm mistaken. Sorry.
He was at Worlds though, but I wasn't in the same class.
Do you know, in terms of the best ever, just that this is a sidetrack, all those guys I've competed against, and you know, I'm better now, but the only one that, and I'm often known for my symmetry, I've got in my shape, right? The only one that's ever made me look like I've had bad shape is Nate Williams. For me, he's the best ever, hands down. And he would be probably wider regarded if he'd competed in more places and more consistently. Sure. But for me, I think he's the best ever. It's just crazy.
Yeah. He's just got the tiniest little waist and the best muscle bellies. And if there was anything I was like to try and critique him, be like, maybe his calves could be bigger. I'm really trying here when you're picking at the calves. But I'd love to see Nathan step on stage again and bring. I mean, he could probably compete in like a mini cut. He could just step on stage. He's normally pretty damn lean.
Do you know, Stuart said this about Babacar actually. He says like he's one of the few guys that like he can compete at 95%, just even be a little bit off, and he still wins. And that's the same point about Nathan. Like the guy's shape and muscle bellies, these guys are that good that they could just they could beat mere mortals like us.
Actually, I mean, Max, you mentioned Max, and I always looked at Max, especially his like front symmetry pose is unbelievable. Like he has such wide clavicles, tiny waist, sweeping quads. Like his delts are just like fully rounded. So also just standing against someone like that just exposes you a little bit, not necessarily yourself, but just people in general. And he just leveled up so much since I'd seen him go pro at the WNBF UK.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the guy had a great season, and you're totally right about that point. Like, it's the classic bodybuilder thing. Everyone looks good standing by themselves or in those Instagram posts. Put them in the lineup, and then you see it's hard. Should we even call them weaknesses? Because the guys have got amazing physiques, but you can just see who's got the genetic gifts or who can pose in such ways to maximize what they've got. And that's something you've undoubtedly got better at down the years yourself, and you can see it in the way you pose and in your physique in terms of how you refined it. But yeah, Max for sure. When you look at his 2022 photos, which I think, by the way, he got a raw deal. I think he should have made the top 5 for sure at the Worlds back then, but he made such improvements. And to do the season that he did, I think he did 7 odd shows back to back or more or less. Well, they weren't weekend to weekend from there. But yeah, the guy did great, and it was so good to compete against him. And I was saying, like, he's such a great guy, and I've been so competitive with him all years. And I said this, I was like, Matt, you could even have the decency to just be a bit of an asshole, because then I could at least hate you.
Yeah.
But you're such a nice man. I've got such respect for him. So, like, I was like, Matt, I've been gunning for you for every single contest. Like, trying to beat you, like, literally doing reps like Arnold, like Lou Ferrigno going, Max.
Yeah. But I think that's the nice thing. I think I didn't know what to expect when turning pro and then being in and amongst people. But I think as an amateur, I had this, but not to the same extent. It just felt even more friendly and more camaraderie. Everyone kind of respects each other even a level more. Do you feel like that when you kind of were amateur to pro and continue, or have you? I guess you've had much more experience than I have.
Oh gosh, that's a great question as well. Do you know what? I think it's got something to do with pecking orders, and the amateurs are like this, and the pros are no different. Is that you get decent amateurs, then you get good amateurs, then you get the elite amateurs, yeah. And there's a pecking order, and people kind of know where they sit within the pecking orders, and it's the same at the pros, as I say. So like you kind of know where you stand, and that kind of removes a lot of the egos. And it's like, oh well, they're really good. I'm just going to enjoy my time up here. I still want to beat them and everything like that. And that maybe just takes away a lot of the egos, and it's not nastiness, is it? There's still a competitiveness on there, but it maybe builds a bit more camaraderie between the guys. Does that make sense? In terms of, is that what you kind of think you found, or was it maybe a little bit different?
No, I think I do see that, and maybe it's just a bit mixed. Maybe I just felt a little bit more like I was respected, or I respected myself more once I got to that position.
Yeah, because you've arrived, you've made it. You're like, no, I'm amongst these guys. I think guys take the pressure off themselves a lot as well, because there's no longer right. If you get beat now, or you don't quite place where you want, it's like, well, sometimes it's just like a free hit. You were amongst the best guys in the world, like
yeah.
You can't be hard on yourself for that, and you mature as well, don't you? Like we're just all a little bit older. We've got that little bit more life experience. I mean, don't get me wrong. Like we all still want to win, like we say, but like you're more reflective about it. I mean, what else did you find? It's in terms of when you did it.
Yeah, I guess it was exactly your point of you see pros who will people get the card and then they don't compete anymore. And I had ambitions to turn pro, but by no means was like, I'm going to turn pro. It was just like, hey, I'm just competing kind of for the fun of it. And because I seem to improve each time, and the experience I get, it makes me a better coach, a better athlete, all of those things. Sure. And then obviously I got the pro card, and then it was a case of like, I think I deserved it there and then, but now I need to make sure it's competitive bodybuilding, right? Mm-hmm. I want to be in and amongst the pros and be competitive. Otherwise, like, why am I here? So I've even said this a few times that I would be like, I'm okay handing the pro card away to be an amateur again if I don't feel like I can be competitive on that level. But I'm doing everything I can now, similar to an Eric Helms in some sense. I think he had some of these self-doubts to like try and level up to be in and amongst the pros. So that's kind of where my head's at with it, at least, and when it happened. Don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, I think it's about presenting a pro level physique, isn't it? That's like that pro level conditioning and muscle size and all that sort of stuff. Like, no, this is a pro level physique, and I am living like a pro. So yeah, I am here. I have arrived. Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah, I've always had, I completely agree with unless you are someone who's very genetically well endowed, like you're going to have to kind of live as a pro to eventually get your pro card. Yeah, similar to 100%. Like if you want to get that, what's it called? You want to get the next job on the ladder, like you need to already kind of be doing the job before you get given that promotion. That's the word I was looking for. So I kind of do the same thing. And I don't know if it's changed my approach at all, but I think it's just been a self-respect thing. I think I respect my decision to be a bit more selfish with my bodybuilding more often, where I'm like, hey, if I don't know, can't think of a good example, but if I'm more on my diet than I typically would be over the holiday period, or than other people might expect me to be, I'd be like, well, I'm a pro bodybuilder, so I feel like it feels like a bit of a better, at least I'm actually pretty good at this. Yeah. Whereas before it was always like, well, I'm trying to be good, so I need to be on it. But now I feel like more confident in being a bit more selfish with my bodybuilding, if that makes sense.
Yeah, this is what you do, man. This is part of your identity. This is what you do. You deserve it, right? You're invested in yourself.
That. Yeah, exactly. So to talk back to your kind of, obviously the Swiss, if people didn't get where you placed, you came third in that show.
Third in that show, like say, where was a point in that one, like say, between my man and Max. I'd be going into that when you're thinking like, can you beat Babacar? There's maybe 5% of you thinks like, maybe. But I was really pleased with how I looked, because I looked great next to that guy. Yeah. Do you know what? He's better in a double bicep from the rear, but he's better in a double bicep from the rear for almost anyone, right? Yeah. that's just going to be a thing. But like shot for shot, I'm as good as him in a lot of shots. It's an apples and oranges sort of thing. I mean, he's got a lot of muscle on there. If you like that more sort of classical style Bob Paris-esque physique, that you maybe veer towards me. If you like that sort of, if you're drawing a cartoon picture of a bodybuilder, that's what Babacar looks like. He's got those great big. You like this Gold's Gym photograph, right? He just
he is. He just stands
like
there and he looks incredible.
He just looks like that, yeah. And that's other people's ideas of what the perfect aesthetic is. So yeah, third in that one, and then I hatched a plan to come back better for the next one, which I think was maybe it was 2 weeks or 3 weeks post that show. And the feedback I got was like, look, your tan's too light. That's probably let you down a little bit on there. And if you can get even tighter again, and maybe just hit your shots quicker, that's maybe going to help you tip the scale a little bit in your favor for the next one.
Cool. You mentioned a point difference between you and Max. Do you know then how far ahead Babacar was? Was it close or was he
do you know what?
lead?
I don't know. The way that the call-outs work in that one, you have various call-outs going on. Myself, Max, and Babacar, the three that are getting moved around the middle. And then the call-out is me versus Max. So they've made the decision, right?
Right.
Like, Babacar's won, right? So me and Max know that we're just duking it out for second place at that point. So I imagine if he's not straight one, then he's got to be mainly ones at that point, right? That's what I imagine is going on with that one. I'd like to think that I shaved a point off him, but who knows, right?
Yeah. So yeah, as you were mentioning, you had then the Wahala in Germany there, had a few weeks between this one and that one. So I'd love to hear how you felt like that one went.
As well, okay, so that one was different. So the first one, like, that's an adventure. You're going by yourself, right? And doing that one. The German show, right? Oh God, as I've got my Bayern Munich souvenir cup as I was drinking hot chocolate before I got over here. Do you know what? It was a fucking disaster. I was due to fly out to that show, right? I remember, like 6 a.m. the day before, right? So the flight I was going to have to get up at like 4 a.m. and then go across and then drive down and all that sort of stuff. The flight got cancelled, right, Steve, at 8 p.m. that night before. They just got an email. I was like, oh, no. What a disaster, right? Absolute disaster. So I ended up getting it rescheduled last minute to fly to Schiphol, and then which is Amsterdam, and then from Schiphol to Munich, and then I had to hire a car, so all the trains and stuff like that, and everything I was going to get. So I missed the weigh-in, right? I didn't actually get the weigh-in. I had to bring my own bathroom scales with me, weigh in at the airport, phone Max, and be like, Max, this is my weight, do a video call with him. So this is a disaster, right? So I probably would have been in a different class because the cutoff for that class was 80 kilos. And I've weighed in at like 81 or something like that on my own scales and stuff like that. Whereas like the days and days before I was under 80. So, but that's that. So that was a disaster in terms of getting over there and everything like that. But I finally made it, and I had to like run through Schiphol to get to the next check-in and stuff.
Not what you want just
no,
before
it's not the prep.
stage.
No, it's not at all. But we finally got there. And what was good about that was that my friend James, who I employed at the last 6 weeks of the prep, Melville, he's a lovely man, great guy, a guy I've got a lot of respect for. He coached me for the last 6 weeks, but he came across to Germany because he had another guy called Connor McCarthy, and then one of his other guys from his gym called Kieran Wilson, another lovely guy from his gym, went across. So there was a team of us. So it was like a much more nicer team atmosphere. We also had Stuart McCulloch came across for that show, and then Finbar Murphy, who's the WNBF Ireland president, was across as well. So we had a good Celtic contingent. So that was a different experience from the first one where you're by yourself. And just having the support network around you, and us all doing the things that bodybuilders do, where you'll experience this if you're a first timer, and if you're not a first timer and you've done this a few times, you'll know what we're talking about. Where you've got a bunch of men sitting around in hotel rooms, perched like this, looking at you in trunks of half time going, yes, your tight and more potato and it's the most surreal thing, isn't it? And you're tying each other up, but it's all part of that sort of process and everything like that. So getting across was a disaster, right? But then the next day and everything like that, I mean, I've been fortunate at this point in my career. Maybe when I get older, I seem to handle stress pretty well. I don't seem to hold water, and I was just tighter for that particular contest because I just worked that little bit harder. We'd up the cardio just that little bit. I mean, it's amazing what an extra 10 minutes a day will make. Just dropping the calories by an extra 150 per day will make, and that just brought me in tighter for that one. Got darker tan. I should shout out to my man at Muscle Tan UK, Phil Kane and Sarah Kane, because he sent me some stuff so I put that on, and it was just a tighter look in terms of that one. Now for that one, we had two classes. Like I say, we ended up with a lightweight and a heavyweight. The Swiss show, I think there was 10 or 12 of us. This one there was 12 and 10, I think. So there was like 22 pros or something all in. I'm in the heavyweight class, and do you know what? I like that. Even though I'm like a lightweight, middleweight, whatever you want to call it, I got to go in amongst all the heavy guys. And if you can hold your own against those guys, then you're really sort of proving that you're of a caliber. That one, I got all the call outs, got moved around a lot and everything like that. You're in the middle of the guys, they're looking at you, you're in the mix a whole lot in that one. And you know what? I thought I had that one 100% nailed on first place. There was some discontent from the audience around that one. But you know what? You're reflective, and it's the best I had looked to that date ever. I was tight, I was ripped, I was lean, posing was on point. I think other guys had maybe were looking a little bit watery, symmetry wasn't quite there, other guys not posing quite as well, and I thought I was the best combination of those things, and it was just a really great look for that one. So I was really happy with that package as well, and I ended up taking third place in that one again. And then, like I say, the heavyweight class, and you've got guys there that were like winning WNBF world titles and weren't even making the top 6 in that lineup. So like that's how strong that lineup was. And the same with the Swiss, same thing kind of happened with that one. I forget what the original question was, Steve. I've kind of just went off on one there, but that was a bit of my experience for that. It was great fun.
Yeah, you answered it really nicely. Definitely a different show. Obviously, you kind of have got the cobwebs off with the Swiss show there and done really well, built confidence, come in even better. And I think I commented on one of your stories, just being like, this is the best I've seen you. I saw some of the photos, and that was a level above the Swiss show for sure. And yeah, heavies, funny because as an amateur, I think of heavies and I'm like, quite often they come in a bit soft and like not always the most competitive. But as a pro, that's a bit different. Like, people don't come in soft, or if they do, like, I mean,
they don't place.
Yeah, they don't place, and so to be in and amongst it there. Do you remember who came second to you in that class? Because I actually couldn't remember. The fella.
That it was a Polish champion. It's a Polish champion from there.
They're good in Poland.
Oh gosh, Arkin. Oh gosh.
Yeah, I'm the host. I should know this.
Yeah, you
so
should know
bad.
this. It's a bad if I Instagram it right now. He was such a lovely guy. He was eccentric.
I'm guessing it was tight though between you three because
it
Max
would have been.
took first place.
Look, I mean, I spent a lot of time either on the middle or on the side of the middle. Yeah. So when you're doing that, you're thinking, right, well, I'm going to be second here, right? At least, for this one, particularly when you're thinking the guys you're competing against, maybe they're not as tight as they were previously at other shows, but it's what it is. Incidentally, the same guy was second at the Worlds, I'm pretty sure, in the heavyweight.
Right.
I forgot his name. That experience as well. One of the best things I enjoyed about that was afterwards, myself, James, Adele and Kieran, we were all back at the flat afterwards, drinking scotch and smoking cigars. And you know what? It's not only about the experience of being on stage, but it's who you're sharing the moments with afterwards from there. And that's the great thing about competing internationally and having these experiences, because there's always little memories that you have of those things that you can think, that's when I did that, and that's who I was with there, and that was great fun doing this. And you want to be able to look back on your career, not only at the shows that you did, and how you look, but also the memories you had of that whole experience and who was around you and stuff like that.
Yeah, I completely agree. I remember going to Worlds,
Mhm.
and that was the thing that made it for me. I remember you encouraging me
Oh
to
yeah,
go that
Las
year.
Vegas.
Yeah, in Vegas. And it was just the experience of just being surrounded by all these people you'd kind of seen online,
Yes.
and you're kind of were friends online, but seeing them in person and connecting, it was just like, wow, this is so nice. Because in my day to day, yeah, online, you kind of chit chat with people. It's not the same as when you're surrounded by them in person and everyone understands one another. You just kind of get that nod.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's really nice.
It's a complete level up. Just competing abroad hits differently. And particularly if you go as a team or you everyone is there as an athlete. They're on a different level and everyone gets it. It's just it's so much. If you get the chance to do it, you have to take it up. You just have to just go and do it because you might never get that chance again.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
exactly.
it's hard to qualify. You can't take it for granted.
You mentioned getting James in your corner. And
Oh
obviously,
yes, yeah.
James, unbelievable competitor as well. I know you actually competed with him at that
did,
show
yeah.
previously
I
in
did,
2022, right? So I'd love to know what led you to actually make that decision to just bring in a coach. Because I know you've been coached before, and I actually saw a story by you that you said you are actually very coachable. So I'd love to what was the thought process there, everything along those lines?
Well, do you know what? When I competed in 2022, the last time, my experience with that wasn't that positive, just to be frank. But like I said, I'm coachable, so you do it, you go along with it, and you follow the advices and stuff. Like, otherwise, what's the point, right? You think, okay, well, maybe you're thinking long term, and you're thinking this, and you're thinking that. So I'm going to employ it. I'm going to do the training sessions like you're asking me to do, and follow the diet because you have to. Otherwise, you can ask the questions, but you have to. You have to follow the coach's plan, right? If you're playing American football or whatever, if you're not doing the tactics, then you get subbed, right? So you have to do it. And I'm always keen to learn. So the next time around when I was doing this one, I was like, right, okay, the feedback I got from the show was, Andy, you look great. You came second. And but what I want to see from you, the head judge, Bob, runs WM, was like, I just want to see a bit tighter. And I've always been of the opinion, like, look, what I bring is the symmetry, and it's the shape, and that's the look, and that look has always been very successful for me in terms of, well, I've won a lot of shows, and I'm always placed very highly. But speaking to James, he was like, look, Andy, you've got so much tissue. I don't think you need to worry about losing any of that tissue, because that's always been the fear. If we just push you that little bit harder to get you a couple more percentile in terms of the body fat off, and I think you'll look crazy and killer, right? So that was some of the thinking behind that. Was like Bob had said previously, look, just get a bit tighter. I'd had I think a slightly better package in 2019 when I was tighter than 2022 as well, and I was thinking, right, I need to try and replicate something like that. And then going into the last 6 weeks when I did the Irish guest spot, I had it in the back of my mind to maybe to speak to James about maybe getting him on board a coach, and I felt him out a little bit, and I was like, no, I'm 100% going to do this, because James is a great bodybuilder himself, right? Very knowledgeable guy, but what he is he's got a lot of passion and enthusiasm for bodybuilding. He loves it. You can really, really sense that when you speak to him. And if you've never had him on as a guest, then you should absolutely get him on as a guest. But the thing is he's a great communicator. He's such a good communicator. He's great at getting his message across to you about what it is that he wants you to do. And I think that's so important when it comes to the coaching, is getting your ideas into other people as you know. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. He's Mr. Peeled inside out man. I'll just if I'm going to do this again, then and then maybe this is the last time. Who knows? Then let's just go for it and see if it can make a difference. And you know what? I think if I had this look this year that I brought, I probably would have won the world title in 2019. I probably would have won the world title in 2022 as well, I think. Genuinely. It was
Fabian who won that?
Yeah, do you know what?
He's gone to the.
He's got it. Do you know
listeners,
that's? Do you know what?
We're naming all these people. People want to see who they are.
It's a real shame. It becomes that he who shall not be named, but I'm just going to name. I don't care. Fabian Faird, and then it's Samuel Hartman. Two great natural bodybuilders. Unfortunately, no longer natural bodybuilders. Yeah, and I think it really tarnishes your legacy if you're doing that. But that's a different story. Yeah, it's a shame.
He
Real
does look.
shame.
He's really. At least it's. Looks like the investment is paid off. Just because if you've seen him now or recently, he has like transformed. Obviously, that's what those things do. But
Yeah,
to
yeah,
some extent, some people don't in the same way.
they do. But I mean, Steve, my first bodybuilding mentor was a man called Douglas Black. He ran a supplement company called Extreme Nutrition. I remember attending his funeral. He was 49 years old when he's died. Aorta exploded. That was him. Done. 49. Heavy abuser of anabolic steroids. And I've just come across too many men who have just abused them. And young men that I meet that look older than me. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah, but look at you.
It's that risk.
You take the risks that you want to take. If you think it's worth it, then you will go for it. But I just like to think that, well, maybe it's a naive thing, that if we're all doing this natural bodybuilding, particularly if you get to that pro level, that we've probably got shared values. And it's a shame that we maybe are not quite aligned on the drug-free sport stuff. Maybe just don't do it. I don't know. That's another big cover. I
maybe don't just do it is good advice. So
yeah, and lots of respect. But I flip-flop on it. It's one of those cognitive dissonance where you're like,
right.
Because I'm also kind of libertarian in that sort of live and let live, your own risks. Like if you want to smoke, smoke. You want to like all that sort of stuff.
That tends to be my philosophy, but I see why you might be conflicted, especially if people. The thing is, people do it. You kind of have to do it young if you're going to do well with it, because once you're older, like the body just can't deal with it in the same way, and you're past your peak or what have you. So it's just it's a bit of a minefield. That isn't the discussion I was going for. But
no,
Fabian
not at all.
I agree. I think if you were like, you'd definitely be challenging more for it, of course, and I think it would be incredibly close, because I think it was close back then, and the look was very good this past season, and really interesting to hear you kind of talk through bringing James through. And it makes sense if you're bringing on as a bodybuilder, especially as a pro, you care so much about the process. You love it. You're very good.
For sure.
So you don't bring any person into your corner, like, because you're handing over the reins, and it's really important to you. And also, as you well said, there are people that would hand over the reins, but they don't really hand over the reins. They kind of hold on to them tight, and they don't give over that some sense of control, which is then you're just getting in your own way. So you vibed with James. He communicates really clearly to you, and obviously he's a coach, and he's got great success with himself too. So you kind of saw, hey, you can get in that shape. Like, that also helps buy you into that process too, which is great. And I'm glad that was such a great process for you. And it speaks to, like, hey, even really competitive, like the best athletes obviously have coaches in their corner, and it can level you up. It can take you to places maybe you can't get to on your own, because again, you can sometimes get in your own way. Like you said,
totally
that preconceived belief of like, hey, if I get tighter, I might lose the thing that makes me my best bodybuilder. But actually, someone looking outside can help you kind of travel towards, might be the ultimate best Andrew as a bodybuilder, a bit tighter, but still got that shape and fullness.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And I just made a note there when you were talking there as well about vibing. Me and James are very similar, and I think that probably is something that helped in terms of me vibing with, because I respect the guy so much and I really trust him. That's the other thing, because you have to trust the coach, right? Because it's just not, that's how people end up just going and doing their own things, because despite getting the coaching, because they don't trust him as well. But I just kind of respect him because he's not a Cyclops, and I think that's the Cyclops is that Greek monster that's got the one eye and is so focused on and it's a metaphor for people that are focused on that one thing, and it's a danger. It's a metaphor for like people who are Cyclopses are monsters, because they're only focused on the one thing and everything else around them falls down. But he's actually he's a very well-rounded individual. And he's a connoisseur, and he likes a lot of other things as well beyond just bodybuilding. And he's very intelligent, and that's one of the things again that I think I like about him, and I vibe with him. And we're going to work together again next year as well for the season at the same time. The other thing I meant to say was, well, like, my year's been crazy, right? It really has, like, and for that last 6 weeks, I was like, I could do this all myself, but like, gosh, I was interviewing for different positions for new jobs. I bought a house. I moved into the house, and I was like, I was working like 2 jobs at the same time. So I was like managing a gym, coaching myself at the same time. Sorry, coaching people, um, doing posing coaching, being like a compere for events, and doing all these other things at the same time. So like I didn't have a minute. So I was like, see if I can just free up some headspace by just getting someone else to. It's such a just a load off not having to think about that stuff. Particularly when you're thinking, right, okay, I'm a bit tired today. Maybe you don't quite make the decision you should do, which is like, let's just cut the calories a little bit because I need that energy. So you be
Yeah.
kind to yourself in a way that you shouldn't be. You just need
Yeah.
to get on with it when it's when you're bodybuilding.
Hi guys, Steve here. Just wanted to take a moment of your time to remind you of our online coaching service. At Revive Stronger, we pride ourselves on providing personalized service that will take your physique and knowledge to the next level. If you're interested, check the description and sign up.
Yeah, I've spoken about it before. I brought in Cliff for last season,
Yeah.
and I hadn't had a coach in my corner for the longest time, and just the simple fact of offloading it to someone you trust to tell you what to do,
So
it just
valuable.
allows you to then use that mental space for whatever else you've got going on. So it makes complete sense that you ended up making the smart call to bring James in, and great to hear that you're going to be working with him again. But before we jump to that part, because we'll probably talk a bit about future for Andrew, we've got to talk about Worlds now. How was LA?
Yeah, oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I just realised, Steve, we must be approaching the hour mark here. And I think you've only asked me one question, which was like about how was the free shows? And I think people are probably like, how did you diet? How did you train for it? What was the sleep? We're probably never even getting there, but that's fine.
That's the stuff that doesn't matter.
Yeah, the anecdotes are more interesting perhaps from here. Do you know, going into that show, I had many a stalker. I was on their stories, I could see who was watching me. Had like Eddie Shaldana was like just watching my stories every other day. So
that's how you imagined him, like.
No, he was. So I called him out. I just messaged him like, "Hey Eddie, how you doing? Looking forward to competing against you." He was maybe not used to the directness. So he was on the radar coming into this one. And the big news about that show, right, was that Babacar wasn't doing it, right? So he'd be the middleweight guy. We're all middleweights coming into this. And you're thinking, right, we're all competing for second place at this rate. So going from there. So he wasn't doing it. So it became like a wide open field. I'm thinking, right, like I'm so close to Max, I can maybe beat him. There's this guy called Eddie, though. He's a freak, right? And he was a freak. So that was the big thing going into that show. For that one, again, it was like, right, let's see, can we tweak things just a little bit more and just dieting that little bit longer coming into the show, just extending it, just made the difference to get even tighter for that one. So how was LA? Do you know what, Steve? I love America. I love it. I've always loved America. I love a piece of Americana. And the LA's such a cool place. I love Americans and just they've just got such an optimistic and positive outlook on things. And it was just great, again, being amongst your people. It's that thing that we were talking about before, whereby everyone that's there is leveled up on this. So I met, again, so many promoters and people from around the world that I'd known previously from doing other world competitions. And that's special because they all recognize you're like, oh, hey, it's Andy. I've not seen you in ages. And I hammed it up because I just wore my hair down to here, put the kilt on, I had the ski and do, the spur and all that. And they're like, yes, it's Andy. We love seeing you here, Andy. We've not seen you in ages. And you get to connect with like the Argentinian team and the Spanish team and the Mexican team, and they're all happy to connect to you with you and have a chat and stuff like that because we're all here for that same experience. So I loved all of that. That was great fun doing all that sort of stuff and making so many new friends and people that had seen me previous to that season and people that you meet online or rather you see online and you get to connect with them properly. And as a bodybuilding like fan as well, you see people weighing in or you see people around, you're just like, man, you're in great shape and you know what it takes to get there. So just saying those little things to people, you can see how much they appreciate it and everything like that. So LA was great fun there pre-contest. The period in which you're sort of waiting out before the shows. It's just a waiting game, right? You're just, the anticipation builds up. And then we had show day itself. And oh, that was such a buzz. That was such a buzz. I love competing. I mean, I got into bodybuilding because I love training, and we all love training. You know, that way where you just get into that flow state and that zone when you're on state, when you're in the training. Well, I get that when I'm on stage as well, and it's that you just, when you're having that really good session and your mind is totally clear and you're not thinking about anything else.
Yeah.
And you're like I say, flow state, I think is one of the best ways I've ever heard experience. And that's where I was when I was doing it. And I'm a performer, right? I love being on stage. I loved taking up the space and entertaining the crowd and being amongst those guys. And I could feel the vibe from the guys around me. We were all really pushing each other. And there's a little bit of you banging into each other, and I bet like it's boys having a little bit of rough play, right? But it's respectful at the same time.
Yeah.
When we're doing it, and you can see everyone backstage and everything. So the competition itself was just, it was amazing fun. It was great, and it was the same thing on that one, right? Fortunate that like I managed to get like a good number. Can't remember what exact number it was, but a good number. And what happens was you've got a few guys that have got a number before you, and you just walk out and you're kind of about the middle. I'm like, oh, this is perfect. This is where I want to be. I'm so grateful that I got up every single morning in my prep. I would just pose every single day solid, because they held us in that front relax shot right from the offing for about 5 minutes, and it was tough. Like, it was really hard. So I was really happy with how much effort I'd put into the posing. And that's a lesson for anyone that's listening. They can do stuff like that to you, particularly at Worlds. And there's no call-outs at Worlds. They just put you in a line and move you around. So you don't get to rest at the back of the stage, right? Which sometimes you want, right, to be able to do. But I could just, like, again, loving the physical aspect of hitting the shots, and then again they're moving us around, and again you're getting moved in the middle, you get moved to the side, you're battling it out, and then in the end the chips fall, and you go backstage, and at the Worlds only the top 5 get to do the routine, right? So you're waiting around and you're waiting for that call, and I think I was maybe call number 4, but I knew I was making it. But it means so much to people. Like, guys are crying backstage because they didn't make that top 5. That's how emotional it is on it, and then it was very, very emotional. So I made the lineup. I was like, right, yeah, I'm in contention for this one here. I know who the guys to beat are. It's me, Eddie, and Max are going for this again. And then we come out, we do our routines. I'd worked on that one a little bit. That was really good fun. I need to get some good footage of that one actually eventually. So I'll post that in time. And then with that one, I took the 3rd place for that one. Again, you're thinking to myself, like, do you know what? I'm a 2nd or I'm a 1st in this one. I didn't expect to be 3rd in this one, but again, that's just the way it is. Max had my number all year. I need to do something about that next time round. I think I'm prettier than him, but you would disagree. Yeah, and I think I've got better hair than him, but you would disagree. Eddie, I said to him at the time, I was like, well done, Eddie. You've done great when we were on stage. Now you need to go and win the overall, because I don't want to lose to the guy.
Yeah.
Anyone else that's not won the overall on this one, because that's how it is. And then Eddie went on and took the overall. And he's a really good bodybuilder. If he wants to, over the next year, really knuckle down and go for it, he could potentially be a multiple-time world champion as well. It depends if Brian DaCosta, Baba Leticon or Lecon, and maybe a Babacar, a Nang Babacar comes back next year. Those are interesting combinations of guys, but he could be up there, right? He was good. So Ellie was great fun doing the competitions. It was amazing connecting with all those people. And then I've got so much the memories post that as well were great as well.
I know, just to mention the overall, AJ Morris actually recorded it and posted it, so I've seen the comparisons. And I think it's Ketan Oki, if I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong, but he was in Ireland, right? So you saw him.
He was, I seen
quite
him
a long time ago. He turned pro in Ireland, no?
Do you know what he said to me? I think that may have been his 3rd, maybe 4th ever contest. And Stuart McCulloch said at the time when he seen him on stage, he was like, that's going to be your WNBF Pro World Champion right there. And I was like, he's really good. We'll see. He might be a bit raw, but he's really good.
He's very good.
And I mean, in that lineup, the Polish chap that beat me and came second and was second to Max in Germany. I know a lot of guys are really interested in him, felt he was maybe a bit more balanced, but like Keaton, he got it. There's really been points between them and that one. And I'm sure there was points because Max, well, you must have judged did you judge the BNBF and sorry, the WNBF and seeing how he looked next to Max Melchard as well? Again,
it was tight.
Being really close in terms of that one there. So he's great as well. He's really good. I've got a photo of us in Gold's Gym, which is kind of cool.
Oh, very cool.
He's opposing.
He came second in the overall, and when I was
think
watching,
that's fair, yeah.
I was watching the overall, and I was like, it does look tight between those two. It just didn't look. I think you mentioned balanced. I think his lower body wasn't quite up to his upper body, and I guess maybe not quite as experienced. But I actually don't know how experienced Eddie is either. I don't think Eddie's done heaps of shows and seasons before, but yeah, Eddie's very complete, like very balanced, and peeled to the bone. So
for sure,
for a deserving winner.
I think your man, like the experience is something. Just having that stage time really, really matters. Because when I seen him in Ireland, and again, you've seen him in Britain, so you may reflect on this as well. You can see I seen it when he was on stage, just getting a little bit more fatigued than the other guys, a little bit more sloppy with the posing but also you can see the self-doubt of looking around when you're on stage, not got the same composure or presence despite the physique. And that sort of stuff matters because I say this all the time, bodybuilding's a look at me contest.
Yeah.
Look at me. And if you make the judges doubt you, then that you can lose points. Yeah. Compared to the guys that are super, super confident. And if everybody's on 5 more shows, that matters. Like it does. Yeah, it really, really does.
So yeah, it looked like an incredible Worlds from what I saw.
Yeah, it was really good. Really
the splits
good
of all
fun.
the classes look great as well, because you mentioned at Worlds they don't tend to have you at the back resting. We actually had that the year prior because the class was just so big.
Fortunate, yeah.
So fortunate, I don't know. It kind of it's nice to be in a smaller class because sometimes I think when there's just so many people on stage, I felt overlooked, but I would feel that way considering where I placed, which wasn't in the top half. So it can just happen that way. But I liked the way they split it. The setup looked really good. The lighting, the stage lighting looked incredible. I think when you get your video and photos from, is it White Dragon, the company that do it? They do an incredible job from Spain. So I think you'll be very happy with those.
Well, do you know what? I think they're called Better Aesthetics. They were backstage doing photography.
Oh, they tend to do it, yeah.
So I got some photos from those guys, and those are great photographs. But they also did video backstage. I've never seen video backstage before, and the video I got from that was like when I see myself, I was like, oh my! I look like I've got no skin, Steve. I was like, fuck.
That's what you want.
Like, there's one of those moments like that's me. When you're looking at yourself, like I was full as a house, absolutely shredded. My symmetry was on point. The time was really, really good. Posed well. I was like, fucking hell, if those guys have beaten me, then fair play to you. Because that is a crazy look. I was like watching myself. Really, really. So I can't wait to see the video of that, and hopefully it lives up to what I seen at the time. I quickly ruined it, of course, by going away and eating a massive slice of chocolate cake.
That's what you got to do. You got to recover, right?
Yeah, you need to recover. You need that chocolate cake in your life.
Yeah. And something I really appreciate with you, Andy, is you're happy to. I think sometimes, at least I do this. I'm self-critical, and even maybe I don't even know if I think I look good or not. But you're really good at being actually, and you do. You look incredible, but you're very good at speaking that to yourself too, and being like, hey, I did look incredible, I looked incredible, and for them to beat me, they had to be top tier. So actually I really appreciate that, because I think I don't know how common that is in bodybuilders.
Do you know that you're saying this, but it's so tricky. It's really hard. The amount of conversations that I had at the the Irish show, which I was at that year. Or did you watch all the shows that I presented at as well? The Irish show, the Swiss show, the German show, the Worlds, speaking to athletes, speaking in the team. Because I've been around for so long as well, I'm a leader. So people want to talk to me. And I'm like, do you know what, man? You look your best. It's your best ever look. Just go out there and do your best. And then I'm speaking to James like, oh, James, I'm not sure how to look. So I'm doing the same as you, right? I'm doing this. I'm exactly the same as you. And so maybe it's that tall poppy syndrome whereby, or it's a Scottish culture thing or Britishness where you're like self-deprecating and stuff like that about it. But you do, it's good to have those moments as well where you're like, no, actually, that is a fucking really good look.
Yeah.
That was a really great package. I can look back on that, I can reflect, and that was a really good one. I think you need to have an ego if you want to be a top performer. You absolutely do need to have it. And that's basic sports psychology. You just also need to have that high task orientation and know that you need to be perfecting your skills and improving your techniques and improving your tactics and stuff like that so that you can get to the level. And you need that bit of humility as well at the same time. Because if you think you're too good all the time, then you leave the door open. Yeah. And look, I'm not happy about getting beat by like Max or Babcar and all those guys, right? Because I'm a competitor. I want to win, but I can still say like the package was great.
Yeah.
I think I should be higher myself, coincide. But look, that's me thinking that. Who's ever happy about maybe not placing higher? But like the package was amazing. It really was. And you know what? Fair play to those guys. I respect them massively from there. It's a tricky one. It's a line you're gonna tread, isn't it?
Yeah, you want ego but not delusion, and you need some rationality because you can get complacent for sure. And the reason I was picking it out was because it's the thing you're focused on. Like we've talked about your placings, which cool. Like, third is actually really, really good. But the thing you're focused on is like, hey, I brought a better look to each show, and can we say it was your best ever stage?
Oh, it was. Like, it was 100%. Yeah, 100% your best. And look, as I said to all those guys and girls, like, how are you going to do better than your best ever, right? You go back to the drawing board and you do things again, maybe slightly differently, or you replicate that the next time, but you still need to give yourself a pat in the back, right? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Like, look how well you've done. You've done amazing. Like, you really, really have. And at the end of the day, it's just other people's opinions, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ultimately what it is. So give yourself some kudos for all that from there. I had something else on the tip of my tongue, but I'm sure it'll come back to me, whatever it was.
Before we jump to nuts and bolts of maybe some of the numbers and like the macros and stuff, you mentioned kind of post, like that was the competition, LA post show. How was that experience for you?
Oh gosh, that was great fun. It's amazing being around the people, because then after that you get to share these great experiences with people. I was by myself at, but I shared with Connor McCarthy, my friend who was over in Germany as well, a pro himself. So we went away and we did some things and we went exploring. But I also, because I was going out there with myself as well, I decided that, again, just like what I did with Switzerland, I would go on my own little adventure by myself, just out in LA. So I went and seen some sights. I went downtown and proper explored that. And that was just great fun. Again, just an adventure. That was really, really fun as well. And then, I mean, the thing that I always crave post-show is a burger, right? And I'm in the world of the burger. It's the land of the burger. And there's two things. Like, you have to kind of get over that food focus that you've had for such a long time. You need to rebuild those positive relationships with food. You need to recover as well at the same time. So you're going to indulge a little bit, maybe a little bit too much. But listen, that's okay. Like, as long as you get a handle on it, sooner rather than later, because things can go really off the rails, and I've got enough experience that I know what I'm doing with that. So yeah, we went down to we met all the guys. We went to Venice Beach. You made the pilgrimage. I can see I've got my Gold's Gym Merry Fitness jumper on, a little souvenir from there. That's great fun to go in there. I wish I'd gone actually the next day because Arnold Schwarzenegger was in. I got pretty cool. I got a rare opportunity, which was really nice, to be walking around Gold's Gym and be like, fucking hell. I am at this moment absolutely ripped and in great shape, a little bit fuller from food. I'm probably the best physique in this place, which is, you're in Gold's Gym.
Yeah.
Venice, right? So you can say that to yourself. That obviously is good for your ego. And people are stopping you, like, fucking hell, man. You're a serious competitor. I was like, yeah, I am. And that feels good. So I was in there. But Max came in as well. I was like, oh, this is amazing. So we trained biceps together. And I was like, do you know what? This is like bodybuilders of old from the 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, who would have all trained together in Gold's Gym, that camaraderie, that mecca, and competed together as well. And then we did a little posting as well. And I was like, do you know what? That's a little special thing that I'll always remember, like a little piece of bodybuilding history for me as well. So yeah, it was great fun. Again, I just kind of, every opportunity I had, I just maximized, which I think you've got to do, because I was there for a very short time, and I had a great time doing all the things that we love to do, like having American food and American ice cream, and smoking cigars on Venice, and having a nice glass of wine, and just spending time with people, and doing all this stuff. So it was great fun.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I definitely aspire to doing that more than being that Cyclops. Like, I think it's very easy to be that Cyclops and be so focused on just pure bodybuilding.
Yeah.
But it's an experience in for itself. So I'm always, like last time I was at Worlds, try and talk to everyone I can.
Yeah, you have to.
Indulge that whilst being the competitor, especially prior to stage. But once you're off stage, hey, like you're much more free to be able to indulge all those things. So yeah, sounds like a brilliant time, Andrew.
It was fun. It was fun. And obviously, Steve, you've got, if I look at you in terms of an outsider looking in, you've got way better at that as you've gotten more experienced. And that just, you just mellow as you get older, and you realize what things are important, what things are less important. You're chasing these 1 percentiles, and you realize that those 1 percentiles are 0.1 percentiles, and you realize they're no percentiles. So you maybe don't need to worry about that as much.
Even negative sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, ergolytic, like chasing that one thing actually is detrimental to the mindset or whatever is on it. And I think that's one of the things which has allowed me to last as long in the sport as I have, because there's no doubt I'm a serious competitor, and I can switch it on when I need to go, and that's just the part of my personality and who I am. But I also can kind of switch it off a little bit as well. And I mean, that's just, I don't know where I've picked that up from or learned that, or it's just maybe always been part of me.
Yeah, that's actually something I had as like a note to potentially touch on, was just the sustainability that you had with competing, which has been awesome. Like you said, a lot of people turn pro and then don't keep going, and you absolutely have. And I think people can kind of pull apart some of those things, like your positive mindset, the focus on like beating my previous best, not just wallowing in self-pity if you didn't quite get the result you wanted. I guess you could say, hey, Andrew, you've always done actually really well, so it's easy for you to say, but
do you know what?
You haven't always done what you wanted, right?
You're 100% right. And I just wrote that down there, right? Like, it helps that I've been good at it.
Yeah.
There's absolutely no doubt about that. And if you're to put a percentile on like how much of a difference that makes, it's probably massive. Who knows what it is? Because I think, I mean, when I've done research onto this, I think the shelf life of a bodybuilder has been about 3 years. I think it really is. I think it's about, and I based that on the research that I did on competitive bodybuilders that I published in 2018, 2019, and 2021. When I was looking at British finalists, and they were looking at like competitive time, and they had about 3-4 seasons under their belt, right? So I'm surmising that after that, you're not really seeing people hanging around it much longer than that. But they're maybe got longer training histories. Yeah, but the actual competitive histories, this is just my hypothesis on it. Because I think, like, unless you do really well at it, you maybe throw the towel in and you just move on to other stuff, which makes sense, right? From there.
That's rational.
From there. And then the other thing is that I've often wondered, is it just that I've done really well at it because I've just hung around longer than other people as well?
That's what I think I've done.
Yeah, you've just outlasted them from there. So that definitely helps. Some of the things that I've done, like, okay, so I was at university, so I didn't compete all the way from university. So like I started out like maybe the first year I competed, and then I took time off to focus on the degree. And then I went back to it, so I had a gap. And then when I went on and finished being a junior, I had time off to then go back to it. And then I went back, and then I did a master's. So I thought, well, I can't compete when I'm doing that, so I better take time off. And then did a PhD, and I thought, well, I can't be doing like bodybuilding shows when I'm doing my thesis. So like I've had these imposed breaks in my bodybuilding career, rather than necessarily just going year after year after year. And the last time I went consecutive seasons was 2014. So where I did 3 in a row when I was chasing a pro card. I was amateur 2012, 2013, 2014. And then after that I went 17, 19, 21. And again, they've not always been, and then obviously 25. And they've not always been conscious decisions, like I say, that I'm going to do it again in 3 years or whatever. It's sometimes that they've been imposed or things have cropped up that have led to it like that. But it's ended up being probably some of the best things for my bodybuilding career, because it's allowed me to compete at a high level, go away, make improvements, but also to be more sustainable, where it's not necessarily maybe affected relationships or career from there. And mindset as well, because guys just burn out. They undoubtedly burn out. But do you know what? Then next year I'm thinking, do you know what? I've realised how much I love this. It's been great fun, this whole experience. I've realised how much people have valued me being around them and being there as well. And I'm still competing. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to do it again next year. I'm going to, which leads you on to probably a question you had later. I'm going to do it next year, and I've not done back-to-back seasons for a while, and I can absolutely get better, I think. At the same time, by not getting too far away from the stage weight at the same time. So yeah, that's helped in terms of the sustainability. And I suppose the other thing that's maybe helped is, I remember years ago reading in a textbook somewhere when I was studying sports nutrition about Olympic athletes and the cycles that they go on. And it was like something along the lines of, I remember that maybe that these periodized plans that they follow are so intense that following competitions and stuff like that but these athletes have to reestablish good relationships with food again, because they get so food focused, and that can be detrimental for their mindset and their longevity if they don't reestablish these healthy relationships, both in terms of the psychological, the social aspects, because it's such a big part of your culture. And do you know what? I was maybe 19 or something like that when I was reading that, and I was always really interested in that, in athletics and so on. And obviously I studied sport and exercise science and so on. But like that always just really stuck with me, and it always really resonated. And I wish I could remember where exactly I read that. So that's always the approach I kind of took to bodybuilding. I was like, right, you need to, once you've done the contest, get back to some sort of normality. And maybe because I had those imposed gaps, and I was always around what you'd call normies and academics and people who don't follow those lifestyles, you're following their norms a lot more. Sure. But for next year, I've just said, you know what? I'm just going to live by my own values. I don't care. I am me. I'm going to do contests next year, and that's it.
Before we jump to that, I just want to say I definitely think making it sustainable by breaking it up is key. I think even Stuart doing every other year is like, that's still pretty damn hardcore. A lot of people don't realize, like you talk to normies or people who don't know the sport so well, they think you just compete every year, or maybe they look at the enhanced side, they compete every year, so they think, hey, I can compete every year, or they don't do quite as well as they thought they should or could have, so they look to try and beat that the next year, and by all means they're probably doing even worse because they haven't regained those good healthy habits and relationship with food, but also potentially losing muscle, not regaining muscle, and just coming on stage looking even worse, and then they just quit or what have you. So I thank having people like the 3DMJ guys who have helped educate me, and people like Lyle McDonald at the start, Alan Aragon, kind of realistic rates of muscle growth, and as naturals we need to take time if we want to do better between seasons and shows. So I think they're part of my reason I've been at least competing for over 10 years now is taking big gaps like you. Like my first season was 2014, but then I did 17, 2022 was it, and then 2024 or 2021 was it actually. So yeah, it's, I think a good year or two between shows at least, I think for most guys is important. But at your level, compete year to year, I think makes much more sense. I'd love to know how you're going to look to improve for, I guess, the next season?
Yeah, it's a good question. And just on touching on a point you made there, I mean, realistic rates of muscle gain and stuff like that. I think once you get to the sort of level I'm at, like the improvements you're making, they're so small. I mean, when I spoke to the judges for feedback, they were like, "Look, Andy, you're coming up against freaks. If you just replicate that look, you're gonna win, right? You're gonna win. It's just like who sometimes turns up and so on. That's just how it is. You're not doing anything wrong. There's no holes in your physique. And like, honey, you're a freak yourself, right? I mean, like, just look like that next time, and you'll win. So like, it's about sort of replicating that. But if you need to make the big improvements, then you do need the time away. There's something to be said for doing maybe short, intense periods of competing. Like maybe you do 2 consecutive years, maybe just to learn the sport, and you could maybe get 10. I don't know, 8 to 10 or 6 to 10 shows under your belt or something like that, and then you've done your apprenticeship, and then you take the time away. But this is all bodybuilding tactics and theories. But in terms of how I'm going to get better, do you know what? I started the prep in 2022, and I think I was 94 kilos, right? And that was a mistake, hands down, right? So this prep that I did, I was like, right, I can't make that mistake again. So this time I started prep at 90 kilos. So I started 4 odd kilos later. And in terms of weeks, right, people don't realize this. That might be 10 weeks, maybe 11, 12 weeks, right, of less dieting all in, or less hard dieting for 4 or 5 weeks at the end of it. And that can translate into just maybe getting in shape earlier, allowing you to have time to just be a little bit tighter, or you don't lose the muscle mass. Or psychologically, you don't have as much diet fatigue and you're a little bit fresher, or maybe you don't have to work so hard. So this time round, the goal's got to be, right, okay, if I'm going to compete around about 77 odd kilograms, which I was, like that's, and I don't think that's a true weight, by the way, because some of it's dehydration and yada, yada, yada. Then I've got to be looking to start the prep around about this time, maybe closer around about 85 kilos. So that's the plan this time. If I can start the prep that little bit lighter, that little bit tighter, then that's going to make maybe my prep that if I do say 20 weeks or a match the length of time, I think I can get in shape that little bit earlier, because I want to try and replicate that world's look at shows that I potentially do earlier. It'll make me hopefully that little bit harder. Maybe I can come in that little bit fuller as well, and maybe I'm not going to lose as much muscle mass. I think I can always pose better. You're always looking for percentage points on that one. Like I can make my back shot better for absolute sure. I think the rear double biceps a weaker one for me. The rest of the shots I'm pretty happy with, but I can absolutely make that one tighter. And then there's all tweaks you can make to the other ones as well. I can train to try and improve the back as well, so you're maybe slightly better in that shot, and that'll maybe make maybe I can get a couple of percent there in terms of that one. But it's a short window. Like, being realistically, I mean, how much muscle are you going to build a month? 10 grams? 20 grams? Like, if you take a kilo gain over a year, I'm not gaining a kilo. I'm probably gaining less than 100 grams. Maybe it is 50 grams. Like, I'm not, like, BSing when I say, like, 10 grams a month or 1 gram. And, like, I mean, if you even see that, God, in 4 months. So those are sort of tactics I'm thinking about in terms of doing that. Maybe I can eat a little bit more food. I wonder about the composition of the diet. Can I get a slightly higher fruit and veg content in the diet? And would that give me a slightly higher micronutrient density? And would that make a difference? I wonder about that as well, because I probably ate more veg in this past diet than I've eaten before. So, and I just think that's kind of interesting. So yeah, those kind of things, but it's very small things is what we're talking about there. There's not much. I've had a less stressful travel regime, but like, there's no accounting for that. And maybe if I don't move house, get new jobs, work for myself in the ground,
just
if I get more
stress,
sleep, those things, that'll make a difference to the whole kind of process as well. And believe me, I never planned all those things. It just kind of happened like
life.
That. Like, we were talking about, like, you'll say this to your clients: get all your ducks in a row.
Yeah.
The only reason I was able to do these shows, with all the stuff that was going on at the same time was just because I'm so experienced and it's such a part of my life that I can just stoically get on with it, right?
For sure.
Does that answer the question? Is that kind of what you're expecting?
I wasn't sure. I do agree. I agree with you. Having reviewed some of your footage and stuff, the back is where I would identify if there was a weakness. That is an area, and you're completely right. Posing, you can never be perfect enough with posing. There's always ways to kind of just tweak things ever so slightly. Stage presence, all that good stuff. Make sure your tan is always as dark as you would like it to be. That
was frustrating because when you hire the external tanning company to spray tan you think that stuff's kind of taken care of it. And I'm moaning about them now. I sound like that's on me. I should have checked.
You can go for another coat, right? I guess.
Yeah,
if
I should have.
That.
I should have done something about that. Right. That's actually on me.
And it's good to own that too, because then that gives you more control over the outcome as well. So I think that's a good reflection. And then starting leaner so the distance to travel is shorter, or you can even travel further. It's no doubt going to help you a ton. For context, Andy, just quickly, are you 5'10", am I right? Or are you...
Oh, no, I'm not. Maybe if I put the bobble up, right?
Oh, you're 5'9"?
Do you know what? This is a discussion I had with friends recently. They're like, I was like, I'm 5'9", right? And then I measured myself and I had to face. I was like, turns out I'm only 5'8". I thought so I've been telling people for years I'm 5'9". Apparently 5'9" is like 174.5 or 175 centimeters. I'm only 174. So there you go. I've been squeezing a centimeter out that I don't actually have.
It gives context to your stage weight of how big that is as an individual.
Yeah, I think really I'd said the weight is kind of false that I was, right? Because you're kind of light. But I'm probably about 78 to about 79-ish on stage, probably somewhere around there, depending on whose scales we're using, because these are never calibrated scales, right? On this one. You did ask how I was going to improve, so it's just I think with the training, I'm training at a great gym at the moment. Flex unit is really good. They've got such a wide range of kit. It's a playground, all the stuff that you want to have, like your hammer strength, life fitness, side Bex, pre-core, elite, everything. And the focus is on the back training, obviously. I think what I'm going to do is do maybe a few more, an extra back session maybe a week, which really just translates into more sets total across the whole of the week, with a little bit more focus on maybe the tension in the muscles, so doing slightly slower repetitions for that. I think I might be retired from doing a lot of barbell movement just because I'm too broken at this point from the years of deadlifting and strongman. That's maybe kind of catching up with me a little bit. I'm almost 40, so there's that aspect. Curiously, I've purchased some occlusion bands. So do you know what? I'm going to give that a go. I think, do you know what? A part of me thinks they're a little bit gimmicky. I mean, I've read the research on it. Like I know what it kind of says on it. 20% 1 rep max, similar muscle gains to populations training with heavier. But like, listen, what population group? WNBF pro bodybuilders? Maybe not, right? But interesting.
It's painful though, right?
Yes.
I've been doing it for quad training because I had some injuries, so it was brutal.
Perfect idea. So you know what? Your arms can never be too big. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to have a go at these. Let's just do these for a few months on there. And the one area, calves, yes, we mentioned there earlier on, and I jokingly said an accessory. I'm going to have a go at them. And then at the hamstrings as well. The hamstrings and back there, that's the area that really, when I spoke to the judges, Max was like, look, maybe a little bit more back fitness and that lower back. That'll help your rear double bicep. I think that's where you want to look. He also suggested maybe a little bit more upper pec, but that's just maybe the shape of your pec from there. These are kind of areas that he pointed out. And then I've got, like I say, I always think my hamstrings and calves could maybe be slightly better as well. Because I've got such dominant quads. That's the other thing. I mean, for quads, like, I just squat, Steve. Like, I was doing like,
yeah, I'm jealous.
5 sets of squats like for months, and that was all I did for quads. And then at the end, I started doing a little bit more isolation. But look, that's bodybuilding. You need a program which is going to focus on your weaknesses and not just hammer your strengths. Unless you want to go full Tom Platz and just blow them up, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you want to do that, right?
Yeah, for sure. That's really cool. Yeah, I think being, where are you weighing in at the moment then? If you're 77-ish, you want to start leaner than last time, so under 90.
Right. Okay. Full disclosure, right? I went away, like I say, the weigh-in before I left at the lowest carb depletion, like I say, was 77. I was probably about, I don't know, by the time I'm on stage and doing everything and eating more food again, probably about 79. I think when I came back from the States, I was at 84. So, like, what's that? Is that 5 kilos? I'm going to plead holding water from the transatlantic flight, yeah, but not really. And then I weighed myself last week. So what are we? I've got a calendar here. I need to look at this. That's 1 week. 3 weeks or something. I weighed myself, right, Steve? I was 87. I was like, holy shit, right? Andy, get a hold of yourself, right? So I've now put myself back on it. I'll be fine. By the end of January, I'm probably going to be down at about 85, just from being a little bit stricter with things. Yeah. Some of it's water weight from there. So yeah, gained a little bit, bounced a little bit, come down here. See, if I wasn't competing next year, I wouldn't really care. I'd just be like, yeah, it's what it is.
Yeah.
By the time we get around to March, I'll make sure that I'm absolutely strict again. If I'm up at like 90, that'll be fine, because I know I want to be about 85, and I'll maybe do like a mini cut to get to there. But with this one, I had to be a little bit more strict. I now need to be like, right, okay, come on, focus a bit now. From there. The good thing is, like, I'm not losing sleep over it.
No, yeah, there's no point stressing over that. You definitely will see like rebounds, like you said, like you're joking about the water weight and stuff. That truly will happen, and it will level off. And like you said, if you get back to a baseline, I always prefer someone to be a little bit heavier but recovered than lighter but still holding on to all the diet fatigue and hormonally they're in the gutter sort of thing for an extended period of time.
You don't need that. One thing I did notice, right, was I was like, why am I cramping so bad, right? So like my hands, I'd be walking out with like, what's going on with that? It's like my electrolyte balance from just gaining that weight in the period of time was clearly all over the place with the sodium. Like, it's lots of fluids. Like that's what it is. I'd be like, looking at someone like, oh, you're just not digesting food at the same rate, because there's just some atrophy going on there. You're not used to the food volume. You're holding fluid. So my ankles, I was like a pregnant lady. And any pregnant ladies listening to this are like, yeah, you're not a pregnant lady. Shut up. Right? You don't know what that's like.
That edema, though.
Yeah. Like if you're taking your socks off, you're like, oh, that's taking a long time to lose those white marks.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, Andy, I think this has been a superb reflection over your season.
Oh, thank you.
And I'm very excited about next year for you. It's in Canada, the WMF Worlds, assuming you're doing that.
Yeah, that's
shows
right.
You've already picked out?
Well, I was looking at it. So it's in Canada. Now, the kicker with this is, this last show was November. It was in California. I'm coming from Scotland. It's cold, right? And we're now going, next year's in Calgary, and I'm not happy about this because it's cold, right? When we go there, it's going to be like maybe 20 below at some point, right? The Canadians weren't selling it to me, but I've never been to Canada, and I'm looking forward to it. So that's going to be penciled in. There's a Taiwanese show. I'd love to go to Taiwan and do the WMBF Taiwan.
Mega.
They've got a pro show. It looks fantastic. I've known other people that have gone across and competed out in the Far East. I've never done it before, and I'd love to do that. So if I can make that work, then that's 2 shows. There's an expense attached to these things, obviously, as well. So I'm then thinking, right, okay, if there's a third show, is it mainland Europe? Can I do any other ones from there? There's also guest spots as well. If I can get some guest spots, maybe I can get some on the continent with guys. So any WMBF promoters, if you're listening and you want me out there, then I'd love to make it across. But I think if I can get 3 shows competitively under my belt, that's a good number, decently spaced as well. With these ones, it kind of felt like they more or less ended up. Swiss show, German show was like 2.5 weeks later. The Worlds was like maybe 3.5 weeks later or something like that. Yeah. Maybe about that. Maybe if it was 3 weeks between them, that would be slightly better. But you just kind of take them when you can and when they are. So, if I can get maybe I'd do a show in the UK if there's the right ones there in terms of an opportunity. So, like I compete in the Classic, if I was doing the open shows over here, like the PCA or NABA or the BPA or whatever's on there. I'd love to do the NABA Universe. I've done that a few times. That's been great. But I compare shows as well. So Tim, who runs that one, and Phil, who runs the BPA, both those guys are like, no, Andy, that I need you to compare.
Yeah.
Right? So you can. I did a show this year where I was the guest star for the BPA Northwest. Well, Bill was a compare, and Phil was like, you should just do the guest spot as well, right? I was like, really? Okay. That was.
Why not?
I don't know if I'd ever do that again, by the way, because putting
It's a
the
lot.
tuxedo back on after you've got the fake tan on. So that's
Not
what
ideal.
I'm thinking next year. There's the two we'd love to do. Maybe there's something else there. I'm open to other stuff. And I'd maybe see if I can squeeze in a photo shoot. And I think that's a lot to do.
Yeah.
And then there's a financial thing associated with it as well. But clearly I love this stuff. So that doesn't feel like a burden to do that.
Amazing.
But Scotland, they're going to the World Cup, Steve. You've probably seen this. And anyone that follows me or knows me knows that I am a football fanatic.
I haven't
and
seen it, but...
I've looked at the flights. That could throw a spanner in the works.
Where is the World Cup?
It's in Scotland. Are going to USA in June. So I'm
Okay.
like, and it's going to be at least 1,500 quid on flights. I'm thinking,
Oh, wow.
yeah, but to
Spenny.
be there, yeah, I'm partial to a beer.
Well, you've never been to Canada, but if you like the vibe in the US, I think you might. I even love the Canadian vibe even more.
I like the guys. They're good.
So friendly.
Yeah.
The accent's great as well. Like,
they are.
I love it all. Tons of maple syrup post show. Like you'll be.
Yeah, that seems the thing to do, right? Maple syrup. Can you eat moose? I feel like you have to have it. And I don't mean
I
like a
have no
chocolate
idea.
moose. Is it endangered? Someone will tell us. They're like, Andy, stop trying to eat endangered animals.
But Andy, I think people will be very interested to follow along your journey. You did a great job, I think, this year of sharing a lot of that on your stories over on Instagram, particularly. Are you going to document it again this time round? Similarly,
yeah, I think I will. Do you know what? I'm such an amateur at it compared to you guys or all the other YouTubers. I'm just like, if it takes my fancy, I'll put something up. If I could have someone that did a fly on the wall follow me, you'd maybe get more stuff out of me, but I'm always like, I'd love to do this and that, but I never get around to it. And I always have got that conflict between the trying not to spend too much time on my phone and to live in the moment and be present. And that's a tricky thing to do. So it kind of runs counter to always documenting things as well. But yeah, I'll put stuff up for sure. Yeah, maybe not as much as I should be putting up for people who are interested in following it, but I'll be putting stuff up there. Hopefully it's enough.
I think you do a good enough job for sure. So,
thank you.
And I think if it makes you a better competitor, like being less on your phone, that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And a better, well-rounded person, probably. But if people want to follow along with your journey, you mentioned your Instagram. I will have all of these linked in the description, but feel free to kind of send people where they should be going if they want to follow along or anything you've got going on your end.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So if you want to follow me, I'm Fueled by Scott Soates. You can find me on the gram, right? I'm not called Scott. It's Fueled by Scott Soates. It's a brand of porridge in Scotland. You can find me at the Natural Bodybuilding Coach on Instagram as well. And then you can find me at my website, naturalbodybuildingcoach.com as well. And yeah, I appreciate all the shares, the likes, the follows. And thank you for all the kind messages that I got all year from people who were interested in my journey, following it, who found it funny or inspirational or found the insights that I shared useful or helpful as well along the way. And thanks for this, Steve. It's always great having a conversation with you, just having a good time having a chat, because I think I'm so busy sometimes. I feel like I don't really have time to reflect. So this has been a good little reflection for me. So thank you for giving me that opportunity.
Yeah, I'll make sure that's all linked, and that's exactly why I hoped it'll be a nice opportunity to reflect upon the season and round things out. Thank you, Andy, and I'll make sure, like I said, to link those in the description. And guys, thank you for your time. We'll catch you in the next one.
Peace out.